Welcome to the Bonito Guitar Channel. We're here with the amazing Glenn Fricker. Be sure to check out his YouTube channel, which is called
Spectre Sound Studios.
Which is also the name of his studio, because he is not only a very famous YouTuber, but he's also the owner of our own studio. And we'd like to ask him some questions about what to do right and what to do wrong while recording. And since this is a guitar channel, we're going to talk mainly about guitar players. So what's your experience with recording with guitar players? What are the main mistakes they do?
Well, a lot of the guitar players I work with it's a metal studio mostly, so a lot of the guitar players can usually really play well, but they're not always the most, together people, you could say. They're not really the most prepared for the other things that get in the way, like showing up on time or showing up with an instrument that's ready to be recorded, that kind of thing. A very common mistake for a guitar player to bring in is, insisting on using, the one guitar that they learned how to play on for some kind of, insane mojo or something like that. Something they can't quantify, and it's a complete piece of crap, and it's in no way ready for the studio, because it's got a broken input jack or it's got horrible intonation or anything like that.
Yeah. So these are mainly attitude issues.
Yeah, I suppose. Attitude and a lack of foresight, perhaps, is more than anything, and thinking things in practical terms. I mean, I've had guys come into the studio and think, oh, I'm going to put new strings on my guitar. The only thing is they went up a gauge in strings and forgot that they've got a Floyd Rose, so you spend 3 hours, resetting the Floyd to get it ready for the new gauge, and that's, studio time you could have spent, working on your performance, just trying to get the guitar in a proper condition.
Okay. And what's your experience about, like, say, some guitar players have their favorite sound that works well when they're playing at home. Sometimes when you go into the studio and you want to record something, you say, man, this might work nicely at home, but if you want to record something, this doesn't work at all. How can guitar players handle, like they say, killing their babies?
I run into that all the time. It's, well, especially when I was first starting out, I used to get that a lot of, well, this is my sound. I'm like, you're nobody from Windsor, Ontario. Nobody knows who the fuck you are. You don't have a sound yet. So I'd say, why don't we plug into something decent and try and find your sound? How about that? Let's try and get a great sound, not something that will impress your sister and her all her friends at her birthday party. Okay. We're working on a much bigger stage now.
Yeah. So what's your approach when you say you have a metal band with one guitar player and you let them double track? How would you approach that?
Really depends on what we want to do. Usually I'll do 2 rhythm tracks, and maybe sometimes 4, depending on how tight the guy is. If we can get a bigger sound, like a really great guitar player, we can bust out 4 rhythm tracks like no problem. Okay.
And what do you prefer using? Like panning them hard left right with identical sounds, or?
Well, yeah, that's the way it's been for a while, and I'm thinking I want to kind of expand on that. Like, I start listening to some of my, my favorite guitar sounds on some of the records that I like Corrosion and Conformity Blind or Cathedral's Ethereal Mirror. They have these massive tones, and it's a blend. You can hear it. It's like they got 1 amp over here, or they maybe got 2 tracks of 1 amp, and then they've got a different amp down the center kind of thing. Okay. So maybe a 3-track kind of thing, and it's that blend of tones that just gives it that huge sound. Yeah. So I want to get more into that because I've been doing the identical thing panned left and right for the last 20 years, and I want to do something else. Yeah. Everybody's doing that. Yeah. Everybody's doing that. And guess what it is? It's a 57 on a vintage 30, probably with either a 5150 or a Recto. Okay. And it's like that's been done to death.
The 55 is still your favorite microphone?
The 57, no. I mean, actually, my favorite guitar mic right now it's a Lewitt DM20 or a DTP 60. I can't remember. Lewitt really needs to work on their badges, but it's their snare mic from their drum mic kit, and it is magnificent on guitar.
So if you had to choose out of different mics, and you could only choose 2 mics to record a guitar cabinet for metal, what would that be?
Probably a 57 and then a Lewitt. And then you could do them like in an off-on axis pair.
Okay. And the Lewitt is a dynamic microphone?
Yes, it's basically a better 57.
And what would be about your favorite condenser microphone?
For guitar?
For guitar, yeah.
Ooh, probably the.
Some people use the AKG 414.
Yeah, you know what? I really like the Roswell Delphos. That's really awesome. I was using that on guitar. It kind of gave a different sound. And there's a new one from Earthworks. It's not the SR25. It's like, I can't remember the exact one. It's from their drum kit as well. And they were like, hey, try this on a guitar cab. And I'm like, damn, that's really awesome. The Earthworks mics are really something special. Actually, no, it is the SR25. My mistake. Yeah, the SR25 is pretty damn awesome on guitar cab.
Have you also tried the trick that many people do, like having two distorted sounds and then trying to make a signal that is almost clean, or let's say like voxage?
Yeah, I've done that. Yeah, it doesn't really work for me.
Okay.
It's like no. I've done it and I've done it and I've done it and I'm like, it never works for me. It just, I don't know, it's not really my thing.
Okay. Thomas, this is probably about the time where a bass player can bash some guitar players. What would be your question to a guy who records guitar players?
Oh, you're a bass player. This is going to be fun.
Just one question. You, as I understand when I watch your channel, you have a deep and profound love for bass players.
No. I don't have a deep and profound loathing of bass musicians. I have a deep and profound loathing of guys who show up with bass guitars that don't know how to play the instrument.
And why is that so?
Because I've seen way too many great records get flushed down the toilet by guys who've got no rightful business playing a bass guitar.
That was my question.
No, here's the thing, especially in metal. I mean, like, the bass guitar is critical to a great metal mix, or to a great metal mix. If you don't have a huge bass that's just played, with passion and fire, your whole record's going to suffer. And unfortunately, more often than not, the guy on bass is usually the shitty guitar player who didn't bother to learn the material, who thinks he's going to learn it in the studio and just put in the minimal amount of effort and it's going to sound great. It doesn't work that way, kids.
So what are your favorite metal amps, metal heads?
Right now, probably the Rev Generator 100P. Mm-hmm. That's the purple version. We heard that's great. That looked expensive. That was a Porsche. And he's really pissed about it, too.
But you also mentioned the rectifier?
The rectifier's all right. That was my very first tube amp. I got that when I was 30, believe it or not, because I was a solid state guy for a number of years. Yeah. I played like Gallien-Krugers and Sons and that kind of stuff. Yeah. And I really dig those amps. But, I had a rectifier. It's good. I kind of prefer a 5150 to a rectifier. Yeah. But the Rev just kind of slaughters everything.
Yeah. So you don't have this this dogmatic view that solid state amps don't work?
No, that's total bullshit. Yeah. Who the fuck said that? I mean, seriously, there are some really great solid state amps. You know who was a solid state player? Robbie Krieger. Go put on the Doors records. Oh, solid state amps don't work. Shut the fuck up.
I also think that Zakk Wylde used to play these Jackson solid states.
Oh, those were really.
I think on the first Ozzy Osbourne record, before they tried to
those Lee Jackson things. Yeah. Okay, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Yeah, that was a cool tone on that record too.
Yeah. Do you have a good advice for a good solid state amp for metal?
Ooh. Well, there's just so many options these days. Yeah. You know what I mean? Actually, we were just checking out the amp one from Thomas Blug, and that's got that micro tube power section. Yeah. So it's mostly a solid state front end, and actually that does sound pretty fucking heavy. If you throw like a tube screamer in front of it, it's pretty wicked. For solid state amps, honestly, if you can dig one up, the Gallien-Kruger MLE from the early 90s, like late 80s, early 90s era, was really awesome. A seriously underrated amp. I've had one since like 93, and I still need to do a show on it because it's just seriously badass. If you can find one, the Sun Beta Lead was really great. The Melvins were really big on that, and same with the guys in Red Fang. They were Sun players, and Sun O or whatever the fuck they're called. That's what they play. Actually, Kurt Cobain was a big fan of the Sun Beta Lead as well. I really dig solid state amps. I think they've got a different kind of tone, and considering everybody is doing the exact same thing these days, again, 5150, rectifier cabinet 57, we need to mix it up a little bit, and let's do something a little different. You can find old solid state amps for fairly cheap these days. Yeah.
What do you think about modelers like, say, the Kemper or Fractal Audio, or let's say plugins? Is this something that is acceptable for you in a recording? Will you always go for the real thing?
Oh, I'll go for the real thing because I've got the real thing. Yeah. Why would I want to model something I already have?
Okay.
I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me. It's like, I will say this though, in a live situation, I was invited backstage to Shinedown a couple years ago, and they were playing like Within This Moment and Nothing More, and like Banking Benjamin and all these other fucking bands. Everybody was playing Kempers or Axe Effects.
Yeah.
And in that kind of situation, it really doesn't matter. Like nobody's gonna fucking notice.
Yeah.
But in a studio situation, maybe not so much. I mean, like my favorite modeler has to probably the Kemper. It's pretty damn good. I'm pretty impressed with the tones coming off it. If I was gonna buy a modeler, that would probably be the one to get.
Okay. And
Although I got to say, the new Waves PRS plugin's pretty good.
yeah. But do you think you would probably hear the difference in a finished mix? Or could you tell the difference between great modelers played great?
Well, actually, you know what? I remember I did hear one very good middle tone, and I asked the guitar player in the band, I'm like, hey, whoa, that was great. What was that? And he was like, oh, that was like Tone Forge Menace. And I'm like, oh, fuck, okay, well, there we go. That's the one time that's really stuck out for me that was a modeler. And so, I mean, like, I just in my own recordings, you know what I mean? It's like, the question is, can other guys get them to sound good? Probably. Can I? Not so much. That's the thing. It's like I can do okay with modelers, but the real thing I've got a far easier time with.
Okay. So Glenn, thanks a lot for taking the time.
Oh, my pleasure, man. Thanks for having me.
Be sure to check out his channel, Spectre Sound Studios, and see you next time. Bye.